Did you know that scars and tattoos could be places where you could find a lot of performance enhancement? Just had the experience today working with a goalkeeper. Chronic bilateral elbow pain, hurts every time he dives, hurts with strength stuff. We were doing muscle testing, just push up, push down, stuff like that, produce pain. Brought it to the session last week. And we just kind of started with some hierarchy stuff. Hey, let's look at some vision stuff, make sure we're not missing anything. Let's look at some balance stuff, see if there's anything glaringly obvious. Nothing really gave him a big relief. We saw improvements in gait, we saw improvements in balance, in coordination, but not in pain. So it's kind of like, okay, well, and then he sent me a text later after that session when actually, like, the elbows that's the worst feels a lot better. And I went, great. And just kind of waiting to see what happens, see if it sticks, see if it needs more work. And brought it today to a session again. And he's like, it didn't stick. And I was like, yeah, I figured there was like, sometimes you get like a, wow, I really needed that. And I feel better. And it doesn't come back. Those people don't have a lot of health history stuff. They don't have a lot of injury stuff. But the higher level sports that you play, you can pretty much say, yeah, there's got to be some stuff going on. It's hard to play a professional or a high level competitive and contact sport without stuff happening. So brought it today and we started working again on some different vision and some different stuff. And we saw increases in strength, but again, not a lot of feeling better. And I'm looking, like, I remember he got some really cool tattoos last summer. And I went, oh man, we got to look at those. So I was like, what was the longest, what took the longest to heal? And he goes, oh, this point and this point. I went, great. And you can actually do this on yourself. We've got a dermal layer. So you're just adding a little pressure to the skin. And then you would be thinking superficial fascia layer, which is a little bit deeper. And it's actually a little springy when you get there. It's no more than a ½ inch deep. It's probably even a little less. On my forearm, obviously, is less tissue generally. But those are the layers that we were working on. And then we were just looking to see, does the skin move? It's supposed to move well. And you can kind of think north, south, east, west, and all of the angles. So we're doing that on the points on his tattoo that he took the longest to heal. And they were also like very dark points, so they kind of went over it a couple times. And literally touched it, did a muscle test. He goes, dude, the pain's almost gone. I went, all right, we're on to something. And a little bit more work. He goes, man, I don't feel that problem at all. He's been having elbow issues for a while now. And I went, awesome. I love this. Like, I love my job. Like, I don't know what's going to work. I got to test stuff and ask questions and get to know that person. So getting to know him last time a little bit more in depth, because he's dealt with some other stuff too. I was like, just give me more about yourself. Like, I really don't know much. So he had some stuff when he was younger, and I went, okay, like, we're on the right track long term. Like, we need to be looking at your vision. We need to be looking at your balance and vestibular function. It's important based on your health history. But what we learned today is that you can have more than one problem. And I had plenty. I have plenty. But that was so cool just to see, like, the muscle test was immediately like, wow, it's so much stronger, really pushing into me. And it was literally just finding the point on the scar, going, skin doesn't move that well that way. Let's retest. And pain was gone. So why the heck does that work? Think about your skin. It is the largest organ we have. If you didn't know, it is a direct link to our sympathetic nervous system. So meaning we are ramped up, ready to fight, ready to flight, ready to run, something of the sort. So it is a very high tense potential organ. So if we cut it, your brain can lose the mapping of that area. Start thinking, if you were going to, hey, how do I start thinking neurologically? Think about maps. Your brain has tons of maps of everything. Visual fields, balance maps, gut maps, muscle maps, joint maps, skin maps. So in this situation, hey, let me essentially do a voluntary scarring. That's really what tattoos are. They're awesome. I'm not saying don't get them. You probably need to rehab them. and it's not the first time I've seen that. But I'll go into some other stories after we talk a little bit more about the sympathetic nature. So you put a tattoo. Your brain does not have to reintegrate that area of skin into your map. So now you've got a mostly intact map, and now there's a blurry section. Blurry sections are scary for brains. They don't like it because if something were to happen here and it doesn't know it, potential threat, potential I'm bleeding and I don't know it, or I'm getting a rash and I don't know it, I got bit and I didn't know it. So your skin is very, very, very in tune with everything. It's got a lot of receptors. It's got pressure receptors, hot and cold receptors, nociceptors. Again, we don't have pain receptors. We have nociceptors, which is a threat receptor. We've got sharp, we've got dull, we've got the ability to discriminate between one or two touches. We should be able to feel two touches down to a pretty good small map or a small space. So just by adding that part of the mapping, we said, hey, looks like your brain is just unhappy or partially unhappy because you just don't have the same map from the tattoos. And he was like, man, scars are the same thing. Like, I got a scar here, I got a scar there, I got scars there. He does a bunch of stuff with his hands. It's awesome. He makes stuff. And we were just playing with like a big ropey scar in his thumb area. And it was like another increase in strength, another reduction in pain. We went, okay, we've got something working here. So we got him pain-free, and then we started to train. He was a goalkeeper, so we started working on handling. He was able to extend, and he's giving me a thumb up every time he's got to go dive, where that would have produced elbow pain, and feels good. So don't neglect your scars. Don't neglect your tattoos. If you have range of motion issues, if you have pain issues, if you've got performance issues, if something feels tight, if something feels too loose, consider that you might have some scars that have some range of motion stuff. I demoed on him because I never have fully rehab. Like, go figure, it's my job, and it's hard to do it on your own. But I've got a scar right there across my finger. Your hands are kind of important for your brain. Think about how much you use them. Think about how much we feel with them. It's very important that we know what our hands are getting into when it comes to feeling and movement. So I have a scar here. In college, I went to pick the top off of a aluminum can. It was still just attached to the can, and just sliced my finger open. Had to go to the ER. Sat there just kind of like half asleep because it was like 1 and 2 in the morning by the time they saw me. They saw a college kid and went, great, he can wait forever. And I get in there, and I'm like, he's kind of moving stuff around, and I'm an exercise science degree. I'm curious. I went, wait, what is that? A bursa? A fat pad? Like, what do we got here? He goes, oh, well, starts moving stuff around. He's like, well, if we go here, there's the bursa, or here's the fat pad. If you go there, there's a little bit of the nerve, but we won't go closer. And if you go a little further, you would see the bone. And I went, this is probably going to suck a lot more when you sew it back up. And he immediately stopped. He went, it's a fair point. Let's get it sewn back up. I was interested. It wasn't a, hey, shame on you for digging around in my finger. I'm asking. But I have a scar. So if we look at it doesn't affect me really, but a range of motion test. So you can see external rotation. Yeah, I noticed that. You can see here, I'll kind of try and keep it in line. You can see the movement change. There's internal rotation. External, internal. Just so it's not a warm-up effect. Let me warm it up. And then I'm just going to hold that scar. It does have a direction still, a barrier. When I move it that way, it has a barrier. So I'm just going to hold it there and then retest. A little bit further. So again, I don't have issues with that shoulder, but again, just highlighted in real time. Hey, it can change your motion. It can change how you move. It can change your strength. So play with your scars. Think dermal layer. Just add a little pressure and start there. Touch and check your strength, check your range of motion. Ideally, you have someone else touch, but in a pinch, you just saw that I can affect my own shoulder with touch, but Touch is unique, especially when you're touching yourself. Ideal situation, you've got someone going, retest your range of motion. And then they'll just move the skin, north, south, east, west, all of its angles, and go, oh, it doesn't move so much this way. And you can move into the barrier or away from the barrier. Test both. The first time I learned this in what is called T phase at Z Health. It's kind of their manual therapy. I don't get to use a lot of it just because I'm just not a manual person. It's not my profession. So there are professionals that are all about hands-on stuff. I am much more about using external cues, external targets, doing vision work, inner ear work, smell, brainstem stuff, and seeing what the result in performance is versus kind of taking performance away and saying, hopefully you're better when you go back. I would rather know immediately that they're going to be better when they go back to whatever they're supposed to be doing. So I learn about scars, I learn about tattoos, and I'm seeing big changes in this course. Again, it's learn, lecture, learn the assessments, learn how to coach it, and then play with it, coach athlete over and over again, and just see what can you change? How can you coach it better? How can you coach it more efficiently? Get good at the tactile sense of things, just feeling things. It's a skill. So I bring it. I learn about T phase in Arizona. I bring it back to San Diego. I get a referral. Like it was just supposed to happen. This guy had a beautiful, almost, it was full forearm. And it was just so cool. I went, I'm strength and conditioning coach, general population gym. What are you in for? What are you trying to get better? How can I help? Or what do you need help with? General strength and this and some flexibility. I want to deal with any discomfort, any pain. He goes, I've had sciatica in my right leg for like 10 years. I went, okay, and I just learned about scars and tattoos. And I went, that's an amazing tat. That is beautiful. How long ago did you get it? And he was like, actually, yeah, probably around 10 years ago. And I went, what started first? Or what came first, your sciatica or your tat? He goes, why would that matter? I'm like, I don't know if it will or not. I'm just curious. I just learned some stuff. And he was like, it was before. I went, or the tat was before the sciatica. And I went, I just learned some stuff about tattoos. What was the longest healing section of that tattoo? And he like, these people know. Like when I asked that kid, he was like, here, here, and here. And I went, what was the longest that took the longest, or the most painful, or the most annoying, or whatever, just something that registered a response to them. And he went, right there. And it was a dark triangle, and it was a part of a compass. Go figure, weird. Like I'm checking compasses, I'm learning about checking like the compass of your skin, and this guy literally has a compass on his skin, and he's like, north. That arrow was the longest healing, most painful part. I went, we won't know unless we try. I went, how do you notice your sciatica? He goes, every day I bend over to touch my toe, or to tie my shoes. I went, give me a shoe tie moment. Let me see it. He goes down. He goes, yep, there it is. It's like 6 out of 10 discomfort, and it's just always there. And I went, all right, well, boop, let's test that scar. And sure enough, it did not move well. So I'm moving it, going, it's really stuck that way. So I'm just holding it. I go, I don't know how long to hold it. So it's like, hey, take a breath or two. Figured breathing is helpful. So he takes a couple breaths and went, retest your toe touch? Or retest tying your shoes? He goes down, he comes up, he goes, what the hell was that? And I go, oh no. Like, what was what? He goes, I didn't have pain. What was that? And I went, you didn't have pain? And he goes, yeah, what did you just do? Like, you touched that spot and I touched the floor without pain? Like, again, this is a 10-year issue. This is a tie my shoes everyday problem. And I went, just learned about scars and skin and how important it is for your nervous system. and it looks like you had some unresolved rehab and skin stuff going on. He goes, okay, what else? And I went, well, let's look in another spot. And he's like, that one. And I went, all right. Oh, yeah, that's stuck too. Let's move that. Okay, let's see. He goes, dude, there's no pain. I went, that's freaking awesome. So he just kind of continued on. I didn't see him much after that. But like, if you're listening out there and that resonated to you, that I was that guy at that gym, I would love to hear if it stayed away. But I think I was out of that gym relatively soon after that's what happened. Like, as I started learning more and more about applied neurology, I went, I need this gym less and less and less. Like, this is just a set of options, and some of them aren't even the best options to help people. Like, strength is crazy important, don't get me wrong, but gyms are not the only way to get strong. Go shuck some hay. Like, you'll learn about strength real fast, and we already know that. Farm kids, way stronger than city kids. They get that awkward, weird angle strength that you can't get in a deadlift or in a gym setting. And go figure, the awkward angle, weird strength is what we need in sport way more than linear, tensionful movement. But another story for another day. Another scar that I remember playing with, the tattoo one, that initial one was very wild. Then I was the performance coach for a rugby sevens team in a tournament in Las Vegas. It was a blast. What a ton of fun that community is. It is we're all friends. Let's go try and kill each other. And then we're off the field and we're all friends again. I loved it. It was such a fun, I think, 3 days. And no joke, like 90% of my work outside of warming the team up and cooling them down was managing aches and pains in between games. There are no athletic trainers. There are no medical staffs. These people are on their own. So you might be a massage therapist going, shame on you for touching people. You're not licensed. Or a physical therapist doing the same thing. No one is helping these people if I don't. So, like, the first one, and this was like a snowball effect. As soon as I helped, I think he was like the captain. He was a big boy, super strong, super fit. And he was like, dude, back. Like, man, I got kind of wrenched in that last game. I was like, I did see that. Like, he kind of got pulled from the top and pushed from the bottom. And he's like, my back is like, I can play. Like, these guys are tough. He's like, I can play, but sucks. And I went, okay, just learned some motor points. And again, we know how important the dermal layer is. Motor points are kind of an area where the nerve starts to surface and gets really close to the skin level. You would know because they kind of feel like little dimples. You don't see them everywhere, and my goodness, this was a skill set to acquire, like being able to feel that type of, I just found one, this type of little indent in the skin. And it's the same, check the compass. So like I find one on his paraspinal. I asked him to point at where the problem was. I was like, where exactly? And he's like, right there. And I went, got it. Search that area. Found a little dimple. Touch, move. He looks at me and goes, well, I feel better. I went, really? He goes, yeah. Like, what did you do? I went, skin's important. So go ahead and move. Yeah, there it is again. Go ahead and move. Yeah, it's gone again. There again. Gone again. There again. Gone again. I went, nice. Let's tape it. So we just put some rock tape on it and pulled it. Did find a barrier, so we did a barrier, and it got a little bit more, or even better. Tape it into that spot. Guy went and played, came off, and went, how was it? He goes, dude, I didn't even think about it. I was like, yes, this is so cool. and then a guy comes up, like, now the word's out, like, dude, this guy just touched my back and now it's better. I'm not a healer like that. I was just a little bit smarter when it comes to skin and neurology. But next guy comes up, he goes, dude, quad. Got freaking like straight shouldered right into it on the tackle. And I went, point, like, give me, how small can you point at it? And he was like, It's about a nickel right there. And he points like dead center of the quad. Hey, it's worked once. I mean, this, and I'll tell you why it makes sense in a second, but like, worked once, why try, like, why look anywhere else until this starts failing for everybody? Touch, like super tight. Like, there's no movement over this muscle. And like, okay, well, we can choose any, pretty much. So I'm like, that one's like, it doesn't move. Like, my fingers, like, when it did that on the other side. So pull it, or touch it, pull it, move. He goes, what the heck? And I went, also feels better? And he goes, like, gone better. I went, all right, let's tape it. And after the game, I was like, how did it go? He goes, didn't think about it once. So why? Like, those were the two big ones. Some nerve glides really helped some guys. Some spinal lengthening, which is a big cerebellar activation, is a magic one, just because it's coordination of your entire system. So if you light up the coordination area, anything and everything can get better. So I had a guy where I'm just lengthening him out, telling him to push the floor away, lengthen through every spot, just walk him through it, lengthen through your ankles, your knees, your hips, pelvis, into the low back, into mid back, up through the neck. Keep pushing up into my hand, keep lengthening, keep pushing, keep lengthening, keep breathing. And this guy goes, I feel like I'm 14 feet tall. And that was a very similar experience to mine when I learned about spinal lengthening and the cerebellum. Cerebellum is a big part of reflexive posture. It makes all the muscles on your back work. So if you have poor posture, good luck. Shoulders down and back, chest out. You're just going to end up with rigid movement because your brain is supposed to set that subconsciously. Posture is a subconscious reflexive activity. You shouldn't have to think about it. So if it's not good, that means there's something going on with your brain, not your pec, not your serratus, not your rhomboid. Brain could be those muscles involved from a brain perspective, because we have muscle maps all over our brain, but it's not so biomechanical as I once thought. So that was fun having him go, whoa, I feel very tall. And then he went and played. I went, how did that go? He goes, dude, I felt great. Like, so athletic, so aware, like sharp. I went, cool. So why does that work? Like, I could, and again, I could have done that and had the guy look at me and go, you're an idiot. It could have easily gone that way. Like, that didn't work. That you're stupid. Why would you even really move my freaking skin and go, all right, test now? Like, could have easily made me look like an absolute dum-dum. But it was on purpose. It was with a thought behind it. Think about how much contact someone in a contact sport goes through on their skin. Again, we said it's highly sympathetic. So every knock, your brain's going, ugh! Every one of them. So if we find an area where your brain is going, dude, I've lost a lot of mapping on my skin, and we start bringing awareness to it and remapping, it's very likely that you're going to get some sort of a change. So again, fun day. He was surprised. Of course, I'm surprised. I understand why, where maybe he doesn't. But again, to see a guy go, dude, these elbows suck. Like, they hurt all the time. They affect me with my sport. They affect me with all the other things I want to do. And to literally go, boop, boop, wow, I have no pain. And just seeing the excitement of someone, because it doesn't happen in today's world, that I was in pain 15 seconds ago. You did something that doesn't make sense to me, and now I am stronger, and I'm not in pain. I love that part of applied neurology, and it's possible for everyone. That is on me as the practitioner to get that, though. And that's the pursuit I'm on, and that's the drive of, there is a lot of room to get exponentially better with this information, education, and material. To the point where I've got a problem I can watch them move, give me some health history stuff, and we can have that feel better and in the right direction within a day. That is so cool, and that is a major goal for me. But remember, tattoos and scars can matter to your brain. If they are undermapped, if they are damaged for some reason, take a look at them. Think about the worst part of that scar. Think about that worst part of that tattoo. If you've got color in your tattoo, definitely look at the colors, specifically look at the red. And you'll probably find some sort of improvement. And then you go, now what? Well, move it, rehab it, tape it, and do stuff with it. And the more it feels better, the more you'll drive plastic change to, nice, my elbow's functional again. So really fun day, big surprise like it always is when you get, woo, that's so much better. So play with your skin. It's important.